Hello everyone and welcome back to Sew Aldo. On today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful cottagecore dress in gingham print. So if you would like to see how, then keep on watching. So these are the pattern details that I will be using for this dress. This is actually the same one that I use for this beautiful dress right here. I am just going to edit the neckline and the sleeves. Going to edit the sleeves to a much bigger sleeves, like a very voluminous sleeves, like ginormous. So need an invisible zipper and a fabric, obviously, and I got this from the thrift store for like $2 because it was on sale. And this is a tablecloth that is in 100% cotton, so it's perfect for this dress and it looks fairly new. There's no stain whatsoever, so I'm really pleased with this fabric. It is also a medium weight fabric, so I don't have to put linings on. So I'm just going to cut out all the details and I am going to try to pattern match as well, just because it has gingham. But if I can't match everything, oh well. Okay, this tutorial is going to be a long one, so be prepared. Maybe grab a cup of coffee before you start watching. I'm going to show you like the whole entire process, and I'm going to speed up in some of the clips here and there. And yeah, I actually finished this dress in one day and I'm super pleased about it. I started working like early in the morning and I finished it by 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Now I am cutting out the sleeves. As you can see, I added about 3 inches along the fold and I made the sleeve longer because I am really going for exaggerated voluminous sleeves. And yes, this is my time to do that and I am going for it. I am going to cut out the skirt panels, so I decided to do a half circle skirt. I actually made a tutorial on how to do this, so I'm just going to have the link in the description box below if I can find it, or here at the end screen. But basically I needed 3 panels because I am going to add a zipper at the back. I also added extra seam allowances just because I wasn't sure if my old pattern will still fit me because I made it a few years ago. So I just decided to be safe and added extra 1.5 inches along the side seams because it's so much easier to trim it off later on than not having enough. These are the details of this dress. So 3 skirt panels, 2 sleeves, 2 back bodices, and 3 for the front bodice, so the center front and the side front. These strips of fabrics are going to be for the shoulders to hold the sleeves, are 12 inches in length and about 4 inches in width. Now it's time to assemble the front bodice, so I match the correct sides of the fabric. So this is the side front and I'm just going to match it and do the same thing on the other side, and I'm just going to stitch it along using a 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Then I am going to curve along the smallest curve on the bodice history. And then I'm going to press the seams open. Now it's time to trace out the neck facing. So as you can see, I just traced the top portion of the neckline and I am going to cut it out, and I will do the same thing for the back bodice, and I will need 2 pieces for that. Now it's time to sew the back bodice to the front. So I match the right sides of the fabric and I am going to sew along the edge. And this time I am doing 1/2 inch seam allowance on the side seams. Now I am going to add darts at the back, so you simply find the center fold of the back bodice, add 1/2 inch on either side of the center. I want the dart to be about 5 inches. I'm going to cut and paste it to the other back bodice. If you don't know yet, adding darts to your garment is going to add shape to the garment. So it is going to be more flattering because it contoured to your body properly as opposed to a baggy dress. I also press the seams open. Moving on to the shoulder strap, I basically press it in half, press it one more time about 1/2 inch just so I have a wide strap, and here I am trimming it to size. I want it to be 12 inches long. I sewn 2 gather stitch on the top edge of the sleeve and I'm just going to gather it to fit the strap. You are doing a gather, it is so much easier if you do 2 rows of gather stitch because your gathers are going to look fuller and nice and stable as well. Because there are so many layers of fabric, here I am helping my fabric a little bit, so I'm just pushing it using this seam ripper. So make sure you do that too, especially if you are using a thicker fabric. And if you want to, you can add some elastic like 2 inches above the elastic. It will give you that extra ruffle on the sleeves, but today I'm not doing that type of sleeves because I have done that before. I just want this to be a poofy sleeve. Now it's time to sew the sleeve on the arm side. You just want to make sure that the strap is actually straight against the neckline and then follow along the curve. So this is my first time to do that design, so I had to work with it or play with it a little bit. I had to figure it out how to sew it properly. So if you are not sure, you can do a basting stitch first just to see what it will look like. I actually did that on the first sleeve and it works so nice. That way you will be able to see what it looks like before you sew it permanently, because basting stitch is very easy to unpick. So that is like a tip that I can give to you if you are trying a new style. Base stitch it first, so if you have to remove it, it's so much easier. Now it's time to sew on the neck facing. First I am going to match the side seams of the facings. This is just like how you construct a bodice. This is also my first time to try this method of facing. So anyway, I matched the right sides of the fabrics together. As you can see, the sleeves are in between. So you're basically sandwiching the sleeves in between the bodice and the facing, and I'm going to stitch along the neckline. And as you can see on the other side, I have about 1 inch excess fabric, and that is okay. It is better to have that extra fabric than not having enough. When you reach the arm side, just sew it ever so carefully because you don't want to sew over a wrinkle or anything like that. Make sure to smooth it out. Now I am trimming off some excess fabric, especially along the corners and along the curve. Now it's time to understitch the lining. So you're basically going to open it up and make sure that the raw edge is facing the right side, so that is towards the facing. So make sure you are sewing along on the edge, and when you get to the curve, just smooth it out and don't sew over a wrinkle. Make sure kind of smooth it out as much as you can. It can be a little tricky because it is a curve, but it is doable. Just take your time and do it slowly. It might seem fast on the computer here because I did a fast forward, because it took me like about 2 minutes to complete it. Raise your hand if you are a fan of a beautiful inside of the garment. So anyway, I'm just going to hand stitch it along the seams so the facing is going to stay put. And this is the progress right now. I completed the bodice already and I'm super pleased about it. The only thing is the match, or the pattern match, is all over the place. So, but still the dress is looking beautiful. Now it's time to work on the bottom of the dress. It is pretty straightforward. We are going to sew the side seams of the skirt panels. Match the seams first and make sure it is open, and then clip. And it's a perfect match. Yay! Then I'm just going to stitch it along the waistline, and I'm also going to serge it just to tidy up the seam. Now it's time to adjust the sleeves. I am going to shorten the inseam, and then I'm going to taper it to the fold just like you see here. The reason for it is I don't want the inseam longer than the front of the sleeve. Then I'm going to serge the hem, and I'm going to fold it by about 1/2 inch to create a channel so I can put elastic inside. This is the same detail that I made for the dress that I created last week, but this time I want the elastic to be a little tight, so when I push it to my bicep, I guess it's going to scrunch up the sleeve, so it's gonna give a different style, more of a poofy sleeve detail that is very big and voluminous. My idea is I want this to be like really tight right here, so I think I need to adjust a little bit more. Okay, we are almost there. Now I am just going to sew the invisible zipper. I do have a detailed tutorial on how to do this. I will have the link up here or at the end screen, so you can go ahead and check that out. Now it's time to sew the back seam. I'm just going to sew a straight stitch, and I'm also going to serge the raw edges so it is much nicer and neater. And if you don't have a serger, you can just double fold it and stitch along the edge. I actually have a tutorial on how to do that. I'm just going to have it in the info card right here. Now I am going to trim off the excess fabric at the back, and I'm also going to finish the top facing so we can secure the zipper nicely. See here, I just fold in the facing and I'm just going to stitch it right along here, and then I am going to trim off the corners and turn it correct side out, and the back is nice and neatly finished. Now all I have to do is finish the hemline, but I am going to do that tomorrow because with circle skirt you want it to drape overnight so the dress will fall properly. I'm just going to trim the excess fabric and finish the hemline. But for now, this is what the dress looked like, and I absolutely love the way it turned out. That is it for today, and I hope you enjoyed this sewing project, and I hope you are inspired. If you would like to see more of my sewing tutorials, please check out the playlist right here. And yes, I hope you will come back and see me again for another sewing project. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!